The world watched in horror on May 6, 1937, when the magnificent Hindenburg airship caught fire and collapsed to the ground, killing 36 people and bringing an end to the era of Zeppelin flight. Surprisingly, this was not the deadliest airship disaster. Rather, it was the most well-known, having been immortalized in several photos and films, making it one of the most extensively documented transportation disasters in history. At the turn of the 20th century, the race was on to conquer the skies. While early aviation focused on fixed-wing aircraft, a new form of transportation was emerging, the mighty airship. These colossal aircraft, propelled by massive gas-filled hulls, offered passengers unmatched luxury and comfort, as well as the capacity to travel across continents and seas without the need for cumbersome runways. By the late 1920s and early 1930s, the popularity of the airship was booming. However, these early airships suffered a high crash ratio, and many died aboard these flying blimps. In October 1930, the British R-101 crashed in bad weather in northern France, killing 48, while the American airship Akron also crashed out at sea, killing 73. These mishaps had not deterred the public in the slightest, and airship travel remained popular. The Zeppelin company, on the other hand, had an impeccable safety record. The Hindenburg's construction was finished in 1936. To this day, it's still the largest flying object ever to be built. Most of the space inside the ship was taken up by 16 large gas cells. Fit in between them, the outer skin was a mixture of cotton and reflective materials, which included specks of aluminum designed to protect the gas bags from light radiation. When these are removed, the frame of the ship is visible. It was constructed using an early form of aluminum called duralumin, and it had 15 Ferris wheel-shaped bulkheads along its length that were held together by longitudinal girders. The passenger areas are located below. There are two decks, the A deck, which is at the top, and the B deck, which is below. On the B deck, passengers board the airship and have angled windows that provide a panoramic view of the surroundings, restrooms, crew areas, the kitchen, and the officers' mess. This is the smoking room, and it was pressurized to ensure that there was no possibility of hydrogen seeping in. The stair here takes us up to the A deck, where passengers spent most of their time. There are more windows on both sides of the ship for the wealthy passengers to marvel at the dirty peasants below. In the 1900s, there were two options for lifting airships. The first was the use of helium, which was much safer, as helium is not flammable. Unfortunately, helium was not widely available, and the only large-scale industrial process to create helium existed with the many oil refineries of the United States. This difficulty in producing helium made the gas incredibly scarce, and the United States quickly adopted legislation to ban the export of helium outside of the US. Hydrogen was much more widely available and was much easier to make. This made the gas cheaper and much more common to use for airship construction. Hydrogen, however, came with the famous drawback of being extremely flammable, and all it would take for an airship to end with disaster, as the Hindenburg would find out, was a stray spark. To prevent this, many measures were taken, including covering the skin of the lifting body with non-flammable material and keeping the gas separated into different compartments. Some airships, mostly American in design, featured a hydrogen core surrounded by helium. Hydrogen may have been more dangerous, but as we said, it was cheaper, and it provided more lift than helium. Despite many reservations, the Germans, who led the way in airship manufacturing, decided that given their exemplary safety record, they would go ahead with continuing to make hydrogen airships. Despite this, though, the Hindenburg was originally meant to be lifted by helium rather than hydrogen. German builders hoped that as the Zeppelin neared construction, the American ban on exporting helium would be lifted. When the US Congress refused to do so, the Hindenburg was quickly redesigned to be lifted by hydrogen. In the grand theater of Nazi propaganda, the Hindenburg and her sister ship, the Graf Zeppelin, were not just airships. They were colossal symbols of German ingenuity and technological prowess. Under the watchful eyes of Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, these leviathans of the skies were transformed into airborne emissaries of the Third Reich's ideology. The Hindenburg, officially designated LZ-129, and Graf Zeppelin, LZ-127, were employed as flying billboards, their massive hulls emblazoned with swastikas, traversing both domestic skies and international air routes. This display was designed to awe spectators and instill a sense of German superiority. The Graf Zeppelin, already a veteran of many flights, became a tool to showcase the reach and efficiency of German engineering. Meanwhile, the newer Hindenburg, with its luxurious interiors and unprecedented size, was paraded as the epitome of German innovation. symbolizing the country's rebirth and modernity under the Nazi regime. The airships were featured prominently in newsreels, photographs, and broadcasts, becoming icons of the regime's narrative that Germany was reclaiming its place as a leader in technological advancement. During this time, Hitler's power was not yet absolute, so he needed support for his endeavors and also to approve a single-party state. The Hindenburg and her sister ship were seen as vital in stirring up the nationalistic views that Hitler needed for this support. The two giant Zeppelins spent 4 days sailing across Germany, dropping propaganda leaflets and blaring Nazi slogans. On the 1st of August, the Hindenburg found herself paraded as a Nazi stooge, this time during the opening ceremony of the 1936 Summer Olympic Games, at which she crossed over the Olympic Stadium in Berlin with an enormous Olympic flag trailing below her. On the 14th of September, she also made an appearance at what would become one of the most infamous Nazi events, the Nuremberg Rally. On May 6, 1937, the Hindenburg was approaching its mooring mast in Lakehurst, New Jersey, completing the final leg of its transatlantic journey from Germany. On board were 97 passengers and crew, eager to disembark and relish in the splendor of their airborne voyage. Unfortunately, strong headwinds delayed the ship's passage by nearly a full day, and so there was an urgency to land, as there were many passengers waiting to board for the return trip back to Germany. If the Hindenburg had arrived on time, it may perhaps have avoided the atmospheric conditions that led to its ultimate doom. For some reason, the tail of the ship was low, possibly due to a hydrogen leak from torn skin. So as the massive Zeppelin slowly descended, disaster struck. Suddenly, a bolt of flame erupted from the airship's side, rapidly spreading across the hydrogen-filled hull. Within seconds, the entire structure was engulfed in a raging inferno, plummeting to the ground in a horrific display captured on film and etched into the public consciousness forever. What caused this catastrophic explosion? No one knows for sure. Unfortunately, most of the evidence was burned up. Some investigations suspect a complex interplay of factors, from the properties of hydrogen gas to the design of the airship's skin and even the prevailing weather conditions on that fateful day. The airship's design, with its narrow, elongated shape, also contributed to the rapid propagation of the fire, as the intense heat and pressure created a deadly chimney effect that fueled the blaze. In mere moments, the once mighty Hindenburg was reduced to a smoldering wreck, its iconic design and opulent interior consumed by the ferocious flames. Of the 97 people on board, 35 perished in the disaster, along with one member of the ground crew. The Hindenburg disaster marked the end of the golden age of Zeppelin travel, a sobering reminder of the dangers inherent in pushing the boundaries of engineering and technology. Yet, even in the wake of this tragedy, the Hindenburg's legacy lives on, not as a symbol of progress, but as a cautionary tale that continues to shape the way we approach the design, construction, and operation of complex, cutting-edge systems. As we continue to explore the frontiers of human ingenuity, the Hindenburg disaster serves as a stark reminder that we must always prioritize safety, rigorously test our innovations, and maintain a deep understanding of the underlying science that governs the physical world. Only then can we truly harness the power of technology to improve the human condition, without succumbing to the explosive legacy of the Hindenburg. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time.